What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're reviewing the Reebok Nano 11s. Alright guys, so if you haven't seen my unboxing video of the package that Reebok sent me for the Nano 11s, it actually features this locker right here and the Black & Gum Nano 11s. Make sure that you guys check that out. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can watch that video if you already haven't seen it. But today, we're going to be talking about the actual performance of the Nano 11. So first things first, we're going to start with the construction of the Nano 11, and it is a brand new model year. Obviously, the styling is completely different than the Nano 10s, which were pretty out there, and these are a little bit more conservative. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I don't think it's a particularly thrilling looking shoe. But I mean, it's not ugly, I guess. I think this colorway could be better. I really don't like the white midsole. I think it detracts from the overall like pop of the shoe. I really like red shoes. It's my favorite color to buy shoes in, and I don't really like this color. Some people actually think it's orange as well. Another thing, the vector on this is so low key, like you can't even see it in certain shoes. The black shoes, it just kind of just blends in. It's just part of the new flex weave knit upper, which is the obviously biggest difference to the Nano 11s other than, you know, the design of the shoe. So the flex weave knit is actually a knit material, unlike the original flex weave that had, you know, kind of like fibers to it. It's got a slight stretch to it. It's not really stretchy, but it is extremely flexible, it's comfortable, it's lightweight, breathable. I think it's really good. It does have some targeted support areas which are on the sides, and that is pretty much the vector where it is just knitted a little bit more in those areas, so it gives you a little bit more foot containment. The tongue, I absolutely hate on this shoe. The reason why I don't like the tongue is because it's not secured to anything. When you tie up your shoes, the tongue ends up slipping down. It's not terribly uncomfortable, it's just a little annoying. The back of the shoe, this part is probably the worst part, or the worst designed part of the upper of the Nano 11, because really it rises just as high as the Nano 10s did. And everybody complained that the Nano 10 had a really high Achilles area. This is just as high, except on the Nano 10, it was turned out so it didn't rub your Achilles. This is actually turned in so it does rub your Achilles. Now, I have skinny ankles, and it's not that problematic for me. If I wear just long socks, it's not a big deal. If I wear like no-shows, I do get a little bit of rubbing, but it's not so bad. But I do know other people that if they wear no-show socks, it literally takes skin off the back of their Achilles. It does say Nano 11 at the back. There are some overlays at the back. There's an embedded like heel counter, but then there's this giant heel clip, heel counter, whatever you want to call it, and it basically spans all the way from the very back of the shoe to just about right before the metatarsal joints. There's some rubber here, which is the new Rope Pro, which is basically just this lip right here. The back part of the shoe is very stable. You put your foot in there, laterally, you're not going to be moving side to side at all. This little back part here presumably is supposed to be for handstand push-ups, and I like the way that they designed it to just kind of blend in versus having some kind of like clip that sticks out. We have a dual density midsole, but you can't really tell because there is this normal like carrier foam on the outside, which is kind of like just a normal EVA foam. And then in the inside here, there is Float Ride Energy, and that is kind of like Reebok's Boost material. It's their reactive material. The outsole is a very grippy rubber. The traction on the shoe is better than on the Nano 10s. I think this is one of the best traction patterns that Reebok has put out in a while. Even though there's like no Rope Pro per se, it's just kind of like this lip right here. It actually works really well in grabbing the rope. And that's just because these outsole edges are just really well defined. The outsole rubber is very good. And then, you know, you get this traction right here to help you grab the rope. And I think it works well enough. The best part about the Nano 11s is that they're very lightweight. So I complained up and down that the Nano 10s were really heavy shoes, and the Nano 11s are 11.9. Compared to the Nano 10, these things feel like a feather. I mean, even compared to a lot of training shoes out there, even like compared to Metcons, these are still lighter than Metcons. So the platform on the Nano 11 is completely changed. This is the first Nano that has ever changed the heel to toe differential, or the drop. The Nano 11s have a 7mm drop. The stack height at the back of the shoe is 19.5 millimeters. At the very front of the shoe, it is 12.5 millimeters. Durability wise, I've done rope climbs in this, and the knit material really doesn't show any wear. It's a little bit dark on the inside because just dirt. I have washed this red pair, but otherwise, yeah, there's not really any wear that I can speak of. The shoelaces are pretty good on the shoe as well. The lacing system is really nothing special, but it does a good job in lacing up. I have absolutely no issues with heel slip. And of course, because the CrossFit partnership is done, it's been 10 years, there's absolutely no mention of CrossFit or the Delta at all on the Nano 11s. All right, so when you guys go to size your Nano 11s, I'm gonna recommend that you go with your normal training shoe size. I feel like the Nano 11s run extremely true to size, maybe a little bit on the big side, but personally, I like to have a little bit more room in my shoes when I do my training or running or anything. So I went with my normal size 10. There's a little bit of room. If I had to say it was the most similar to any shoe, it would be the Nano 9. I know that some people did size their Nano 9s down, and I think if you were able to do that with the Nano 9s, you should be able to do that with the Nano 11s as well. If you're not so sure, if you didn't size any of them down, I would just go with your normal training shoe size for the Nano 11s. The arch is completely neutral on the shoe. I don't think there's really any kind of arch support on the Nano 11s, and that's pretty true to most Nanos. Like I said before, the back part, the Achilles does rise up. So if you have thicker ankles, I'm gonna recommend that you make sure that you lace these up pretty tight without crew socks, with ankle socks on, or with like no-show socks, just so that you can see if that area rubs before you decide to keep your Nano 11s. The toe box on the shoe is very wide and spacious. It does have a little bit more of a point to it than like the Nano 9s, probably a little bit closer to the Nano 10s, but it's still a pretty wide, spacious toe box. I don't think anybody's gonna really have too many issues with that. Okay, so if you go on Reebok's website and you search for the Nano 11s, what comes up is the category that Nano 11s are in next to the name, and it says men or women's HIT, high intensity interval training. And if you were to tell me this shoe, like if you were to give it to me, it had absolutely no branding on it, and you were to say that this was a HIT shoe, I'd believe you. I think that the Nano 11s are a pretty ideal HIT shoe. They're lightweight, they're breathable, they're very flexible. They've got the stability that you need, and they have the cushioning that you need. It's not overdone, but it's good enough cushioning. These shoes are very comfortable. I have never loved running in any Nanos before, but I think running in Nano 11s is actually pretty good. I run with more of a midfoot, forefoot strike. I had a lot of issues with the 10s and the 9s. Like I would always hit the outer part of the shoe on the ground first, and it was a really clunky experience for me. For the Nano 11s, that area is the perfect target for me to hit on the ground, because that's where the float ride is. I'm not the kind of guy that likes a really cushioned running shoe. I like a little bit more stability. I like a little bit more response. And that, I think, is where the Nano 11s shine. Repeated bounding movements, things like double unders, box jumps, the Nano 11s are also very good. Like I said, they're very flexible, and then they're also very responsive. Sometimes with double unders, I have issues tracking where the rope is, if there's too much cushioning. With the Nano 11s, I have never had any kind of issue with that. Box jump rebounding as well. The Nano 11s will kind of want to push you forward off the box if you're doing like box jump overs or box step overs or anything like that. But that's okay. I've never really had any kind of issues like slipping off the box. Plus, the grip is excellent on top of the box. Now, burpees, excellent to do on the shoe. The new toe spring angle, which makes running excellent as well, obviously, is very, very good to do burpees, right? When you hit the ground, it bends comfortably, and then you can get right back up, jump over the bar, jump, clap, whatever you need to do. I think these are a very, very good burpee shoe, and they're very good for running. The new toe spring angle, the new drop, it all works very well with the Nano 11s. So now, while the new platform of the Nano 11s is great for running and plyometrics-based work, on the flip side, it's not very good for lifting. At least in my opinion, I don't think that the Nano 11s are a very stable shoe. I did mention that the back part of the shoe is very stable laterally and everything, but just this front area of the shoe is not very stable. And the reason for that is because this area, the toe spring angle, is pretty aggressive. And what happens most of the time when you're doing a lift is once you start to put a little bit more pressure on your midfoot, the shoes will want to rock you forward, and then you get really far on your toes. And what happens there is that the heel of the shoe picks up. And it's not like an Ollie shoe that's shaped in a way that's kind of like a slant, where your toes are pressed on the ground and then there's a hard heel for you to kind of stabilize on. These are very flat pretty much all throughout until the metatarsal area. And then this is kind of like a fulcrum, and then it just kind of rocks you forward. And then when that rocks forward, the heel will always pick up. So it's either in the Nano 11s, you're on your heels the whole time, or you're on your toes and then you have a heel lift, which is not optimal for lifting. For example, when I was back squatting, I would pretty much lean forward every lift just because the toes on the shoe, or the toe area on the shoe, just naturally wanted to rock me forward. Pretty much all of my back squats were like little good mornings, or not little good mornings, they were pretty heavy good mornings. For Olympic weightlifting movements, I felt like I was either rocking all the way back and forth, or I was just on my toes the whole time and my heels would never touch the ground. And that's like for like barbell cycling stuff. For like setting up my Olympic lifts, when you go to set up your Olympic lifts, you go and you try to press your toes into the ground, and they just never make full contact with the ground. You should be, pushing the balls of your feet into the ground. Your whole foot should be making contact with the ground when you go set up for a lift. And it just never is comfortable in the Nano 11s. I feel like I'm either too far forward, or I'm so far back that my toes are off the ground and I'm not making really good contact with the ground. It's just not very comfortable, and it just doesn't feel natural to do any kind of lifting in the Nano 11s. Not only that, when you go to deadlift in these shoes, the first thing you're gonna notice is that, the heel is gonna be pretty high off the ground. It feels disconnected. And if you're trying to deadlift and you've got a 7mm drop, the stack height is that high, I promise you're probably not going to be deadlifting all that heavy. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use these for any lifts at all. I just don't think that they're the greatest lifting shoe. You can still definitely manage pretty much all the weights that you're going to find in a typical Metcon. The only place that the Nano 11s really struggle at are at some of the heavier loads, but according to Reebok, most people aren't doing heavy lifting every day, so that's why they designed these shoes to be more of a versatile shoe and not necessarily a heavy lifting shoe. So all things considered, while I am not a huge fan of the 11s for lifting, I still think that they are a good shoe. I don't think they're the overall all-around best training shoe, but I do think they are a good shoe, and I do think that they have a purpose inside of pretty much anybody's shoe closet. This for me, I'll keep around to be my running lightweight WOD shoe that might have the odd light barbell work in it. These are going to be fine for general strength stuff like wall balls and kettlebell swings, most of the dumbbell stuff that isn't super heavy, box jumps, but I would just reserve it for that kind of stuff, like the general fitness stuff. When it comes to actual like barbell heavy lifts, squats, deadlifts, Olympic weightlifting, it's just not going to be the shoe for me. I know it'll probably work, but I don't really care for it. It's almost sad to see Reebok go in this direction with the Nano 11s. It seems like these were more designed around like just general fitness, not necessarily CrossFit, but you could definitely use them for CrossFit. To me, the soul of the Nano lies in its rock solid stability and durability. And you know, it does still have the overall versatility. Maybe not the Nano 7s, those were pretty bad, but usually Nanos in any case are very versatile shoes. Where these are, but I mean, they're so far off in the flexibility direction and just being more comfortable for running and like hip movements, that they're just not good for lifting. And it's sad to see for me personally. But the Nano 11s are out today. So if you want to order your pair, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can pick up your Nano 11s. Like I said, they're not a bad shoe, and I'll still keep them around as an accessory shoe. The global release for the Nano 11s is February 3rd. I think pretty much everybody's doing the week early unlocked release though. So I'll leave a link in the description. You can pick them up. You can read the full review on asmanyreviews.com. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you subscribe to the blog, and you follow me on Instagram at asmanyreviews.com. And as always guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up button.